All right, good afternoon, everybody. It is Tuesday, June 17th, 2025. It is 3:15 p.m. So I'm going to call this meeting of the Western Sierra Charter School Board of Directors to order. Let's have a roll call to establish quorum, please.
Jason Smith.
Here.
Ian Whitney.
Here.
Cody Hayes.
Here.
Lisa Paskowski. Here. Mary Mellon.
I don't think you're unmuted.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, and Mary is joining us remotely, so we will be doing roll call votes for all our action items. If I forget, maybe Michael is kicking under the table or remind. All right, so moving on to number 3, and this is our board meeting agenda for June 17th, 2025. Everyone should have a copy in front of them.
One change, there's a typo. Item number 22 is action on instructional continuity plans, and that is for Mountain Homeschool, Glacier High School, and Endeavor Charter School. And we have Glacier High School repeated twice, so please scratch one of the Glacier High School within Endeavor Charter School.
All right, so subject to that.
May I have a question on the LCAPs? Is that just informational or is that action as well?
The LCAPs are action.
Okay, so we have that. Okay, I'm sorry, I saw the information. Excuse me. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other questions about today's agenda? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Lisa Paskowski, a motion to approve the agenda.
Do I have a second?
Cody Hayes, a second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's move on to a roll call vote.
Jason Smith.
Aye.
Ian Whitney.
Aye.
Cody Hayes.
Aye.
Lisa Paskowski. Aye. Mary Mellon. Aye.
Passes. Moving on to number 4. This is the minutes from May 13th, 2025. Give everyone a minute to review it. Questions or amendments, speak up. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Cody Hayes, a motion to approve.
Any second?
Lisa Paskowski, a second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote.
Cody.
Aye.
Lisa. Aye. Mary. Aye. Jason.
Aye.
Ian.
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to number 5, hearing of the persons wishing to address the board. Have we had any requests to address the board?
No.
No.
Okay, moving on to number 6, any written communications?
We have an email from a vendor through our regular school week that wanted to bring their product before the board for contract. It's a staff matter. They're just soliciting service, so I don't even remember who the vendor is, but we'll deal with them. Yeah, so, yeah,
That sounds appropriate to me.
yeah.
Certainly other questions from any other board members.
It was a phone system company that wants to,
I think we just did our.
we just did, yes, exactly.
Okay.
Not in the market at the moment.
Sounds like it's easy to deal with. Yeah. Okay, if there's nothing else, then we'll move on to number 7, and that is consideration for myself being having a second term, so I'll let Mike share that.
So, only one amongst the board members is terming out. It's their last meeting, so we can all give Ian an applause here. Thank you for your service, leadership. And so that's sad to have Ian go. He's done a great job. So I did approach him to see if he would be willing to do a second term at the wheel here for another 3-year term. And after consideration, and got back to me a couple weeks later and agreed. So another round of
Wow.
and so it's bittersweet. And so in any case, I bring him to you as a consideration to have him continue as our community member representative for Fresno. Yeah, so we're going to need to go into closed session and have Ian step out to see if there's any conversation that we can deal with. If there's anything open before we do that, do you have any questions, anybody?
Sorry, it's going to take me just 1 minute. I didn't realize we're going into closed session. I have to set that up. If you could just give me like 30 seconds.
Okay.
I guess I'll take this time though to pass over the gavel to Mike, and
Okay.
I'll step out and let me know
Very good.
when you're ready for me to come back.
Sir. Let me know when you're ready and then I'll call closed session.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm almost done.
It's all right. So we'll, after closed session, we can have whatever conversation we need to, and then we'll come back from closed session. I will report out from closed session, and then action item 10, the board will take action on Ian's.
Question, for when we're approving the new hiring staff, am I allowed to vote on that, or because
You know,
she's
what
thinking-
I was consider, I think, I totally think it because it's not a leader in all the relation. However, you also do 2 votes on that. You vote for all the rest, which participate, and then you can abstain from that. Whatever, if you have a preference on.
I mean, I don't have. It's fine, I don't have a problem
Okay.
voting, you don't have a problem voting, or you don't have a problem with me doing.
Yeah, I don't, it's not a leader, like, conflict of interest sort of.
Okay. And
Okay, Mary, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
opening the room for us to be able to go. And Mike, when you're ready, I can open up the session, which will pull everyone out of the live stream.
Okay, so you put it into closed,
Okay,
or you tell me when it's okay. Yes, going into closed session now.
thank you. should be back, I think.
Where's Mary?
She should be coming. It'll force her out in a second.
She might not know what to do to get out of it.
There she
There
is.
she is. Yay. You're back.
Yes.
So before we're out of closed session, back into open session now. I still have the gavel. So before I hand over the gavel, we'll take the vote. Mary, I just wanted to check in on you. How are you feeling?
I feel pretty good. Super numb, but pretty good.
Mary just had a visit to deal with some dental stuff, I think. And so thank you for being here, Mary. Appreciate
My
where you
pleasure.
probably rather be home sipping on a latte, cold latte or something, but you're with us. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay, so we are out of closed session. We're back into open session. Item number 10, reporting out from closed session. Or item number 9, sorry. We discussed consideration in regards to Ian Whitney taking a second term, second 3-year term on our board, and had discussion about that. Item number 10, action regarding prospective board member. And so the action would be to affirm Ian Whitney as a board member for a second 3-year term, and we'll need a roll call.
Sure. Jason?
Aye.
Cody?
Aye.
Lisa? Aye. Mary?
Mary? Oh, aye. Aye. And Ian abstaining, right?
That's correct.
Yep. Very good, thank you, and the gavel is now yours.
All right, thank you very much.
Mike, I'm sorry, you didn't. Should you call a motion? We
Oh,
just went straight to vote.
okay, we'll do it again.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. See, why you. Okay, motion to affirm Ian Whitney as second term as a board member.
Jason Smith, I move to approve.
Thank you.
Lisa Metskowski, a second.
And thank you.
And we'll do the votes one more time.
Okay.
Just for the record, Jason?
Aye.
Cody?
Aye.
Lisa? Aye. Mary?
Aye. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, now the gavel's yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's move on to number 11. This is the warrant reports, from May 9th, 2025, June 12th, 2025. Do we anything noteworthy in the warrant this month?
There was a couple of costs related to our construction up in Milkers. Probably noticed as you went through from freezing construction, so bathrooms are more than half, well, somewhere around halfway done, more than that. So there's some costs there. Other than that, mostly pretty usual stuff. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
While you're looking at that, for some reason, Mary's muted on that end. Can you try talking again, Mary?
Yeah, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect.
If I can contact, so you're looks like everyone's had a chance to look through the warrants. So I'll entertain a motion to approve those warrants at this time. For the report rather.
For the case, I motion to approve.
Do we hear a second?
Jason Smith on second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, let's move to a roll call vote.
Jason Smith.
Aye.
Ian Whitney.
Aye.
Cody Hayes.
Aye.
Lisa Plaskowski. Aye. Mary Mellon.
So we've lost you again, Mary.
Does it fade out like if it's not getting?
I don't know.
Now can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Aye to that.
All right, motion carries. Moving on to number 12, this is the 2025-2026 budget for Mountain Homeschool. And I think we'll do probably information on 12 through 14 together, if that's okay, because those are all the budgets. Yep.
Okay.
And then we'll go on one at a time.
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna share this overview. Okay, so this is a very quick synopsis of this. The COLA projection from the LCFF calculator is still 2.3%. The legislature just came forward with their budget where they're projecting 2.5%. So that's good. It looks like the 0% possibility is off the table for now. And AB 84 was amended before it was approved by the Assembly. And in that amendment, they deleted a 30% cut for non-classroom based schools, as well as a 3% oversight fees. It was going to go from 1 to 3%. So that's great. So that's fantastic. And then and now it's going to the Senate, and there's a Senate bill coming across, but we'll see where it goes. But at this point, it looks like we're pretty safe from those cuts. The enrollment projection is still the same as the ones we saw in the preliminary budget. The 255.95 to 339, that's up 11% over last year, like I say, the same as we had in our preliminary budget. The net revenues have been adjusted. They're a little lower for each of the schools because we basically pushed a bunch of costs through this year and next year in anticipation of well, this year especially here, but next year as well. We were anticipating some going more with more technology, and so we started doing that. We wanted to do it anyway in the long run. We just pushed it forward in case that was necessary. And like I said, we're going to do it one way or the other. We just decided to move it quicker, and so that's why it adjusts a little bit. The reserves, as of the projection on this budget that we're looking to approve, as of 6/30/26, the reserves would be for Mountain Home 1,936,000, Glacier 612,000. Endeavor, 2,491,000. That's 54%, 42%, 52%, still very good. And you'll see at the bottom, those reserves for Mount Home and Glacier are still pretty good considering there's a lot of construction costs there. So over this year and next year, we already had some costs this year, but next year, we're also showing costs of 500,000 for next year. So that'd be 866,000, and still having a reserve of 54%. Glacier is 72,500 in construction. That's mostly for the bathrooms. Mount Home's going to be the one that we're projecting to have most of the construction costs because of Mount Home that we're doing the construction, so it's allocated toward Mount Home. Let's see, I already explained that. Other sense there were some new staff positions that were just the same as they were in the preliminary. And so that's the overview. Just go and this, remember this format shows the projected actuals in green and the final budget for this year in blue. This one is Mountain Home. And we'll go to the bottom here. So this also has information that I was just describing down here at the bottom of each one of those. So as you're reading through, it gives you an idea of what we're talking about, what the COLAs are. This has projected COLAs as well. Well, no, this one, I'm sorry. Those are multi-year projections. This But this is just this year's and next year's. And so Mountain Home, I just explained how much we'd have, but there's the enrollment and our reserves. So it's looking very healthy, very good. It's especially nice not to have 80/84s, horrible draconian cuts coming through for Glacier. That's the information I just went over quickly. I mean, we go over this in detail if you like, but these are just the adjustments. This is the final budget we're asking to be approved today. If you say that one section, now Glacier just has high school, so that's why there's only one section. There are 95 students for 82, 88, 92.63. And that has all those projections in it as well. Let's see. Endeavor. So, as I was showing you, was each of the schools is making has a good revenue for expenses, and the reserves are still growing, which is good. We need that just in case. And there was already an approval of the contracts that are basically also reflected in this budget from the last time. Nothing's really changed much there at all. We just have Michael go over the new people that have actually been hired to take those positions, but they're already in the budget. So yeah, that's it, unless there's any questions.
Kirby, sounds like some good news.
Yeah.
Very well. Okay, we'll go ahead and take these one at a time as on the agenda. So we'll move on to 12 first, and this is the 2025-2026 budget for Mountain Home School. Do I hear a motion to approve the budget?
Yes, I motion to approve.
Hear a second?
Jason Smith, I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's move to a roll call vote.
Jason,
Aye.
Ian,
Aye.
Cody,
Aye.
Lisa, Mary.
She's giving us a thumbs up. Let's work on the audio issues.
Yeah, very good.
All right, number 13, and this is the budget for Glacier High School. Do I hear a motion to approve the budget?
Jason Smith, I'll move to approve. Motion to approve.
Any second? Further discussion? Hearing none, let's move to a roll call vote.
Jason,
Aye.
Ian,
Aye.
Cody,
Aye.
Lisa, Mary.
Okay, motion passes. So let's move on to 14, and this is the budget for Endeavor Charter School. Do I hear a motion to approve the budget?
Lisa, yes, motion to approve the Endeavor budget.
Any second?
Jason Smith, I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's move to a roll call vote.
Jason,
Aye.
Ian,
Aye.
Cody,
Aye.
Lisa, Mary.
We can't hear you, but we do see the thumbs up. So we'll let that reflect that Mary's voting aye. So that motion is also going to pass, and we're going to move on to the LCAP. Number 15 is the information item, and that's going to be followed by 3 action items based on the information that we're about to hear. Grace.
All right, I'm gonna zoom past a lot of this because it's a pretty big slide deck, and some of this was already reported on at the mid-year report. So as a reminder, we're at the first year of a 3-year cycle. Last year we updated our LCAP. A lot of the goals remain the same, but we updated our actions. And so now we're at the end of that first year. So there are some different metrics that we looked at in relation to action or goal 1. And so here are some of the metrics that apply to action 1 and action 3 endeavors. Actions are slightly different, and that just has to do with our some of our special populations, our unduplicated students, and the way that Fresno County wants us to report that versus Madera County. That's why there's some difference in the action numbers. But I believe all of these metrics we saw at the beginning of the year, the data unfortunately lagged, so this is looking at 22-23 school year. That's the most recent data available. Action 2, we do really well on because of our structure. Action 4 and 6 for Endeavor is our academic assessments. We had really good our participation rates, and actually our numbers are looking really good for this year that just is wrapping up as well. For Action 5 and 7 for Endeavor, we had all of our staff PDs now have taken place, including our safety trainings, and our SPED department also conducted their meetings, our ELD department, ongoing PLCs and staff meetings. Action 6 or 8 for Endeavor, we had our professional development to help with college readiness, college and career readiness. Our teachers provide that guidance to our 7th through 12th grade students specifically. And then at the bottom, I believe these indicators were already reported mid-year as well. Students that are meeting for Endeavor and Glacier, and obviously Mountain Home's not there because they don't have that metric as an elementary school. No changes to the actions in Goal 1. We found it highly effective, so we're going to keep our action the same. Then looking at Goal 2, these across the board, I'm using the fit from the SARC data, 100% marked as good repair. And that, address multiple actions. For Action 3 and Action 5, I believe we shared this out at the last board meeting, actually, some preliminary results, but our students feel safe with staff on campus and feel welcome and highly connected. So big bright spot there. So Goal 2, again, highly effective, so we're going to keep that the same moving forward into next year. Goal 3, Action 1 parent training. We have, again, our parents report based on our March survey, a strong sense of support from their advising teachers and other staff, and there's some other metrics there that are measuring that. So everyone's been invited to be a part of the LCAP focus groups, the WASP focus groups, and engage in that decision-making process, including all of our parents of our special populations. And community engagement, so by now we've had the Reagan Library, Catalina, CME field trip, 2 college visits, and multiple community service opportunities for both our elementary and our high school programs. And so again, for Goal 3, we found it highly effective in making progress towards the goal, so we will not be changing any of the actions there. All right, so then we also have these are some of the priorities that have required metrics attached to them. So these are going to look similar to what we already saw, but these are just areas that we are required to report on. Again, the data is lagging for all the credentialing that goes back to 22-23. And all facilities, again, in good repair. In looking at priority 2, here's a bunch of the different areas. Again, all of the schools scored 5 out of 5. This is a self-reflection. 5 being the highest goal implementation and sustainability in all of these areas. And then we have some of our some information from our survey as well. So providing textbook materials, and this is just broken down by school. And so the only areas we ever have concern over are the green, that's rated poor. Everything else is satisfactory, with the vast majority being, you'll see a common thread above average and excellent as we go through. And then from the parent's perspective, actually none in the poor mark. And then in the area of building relationships, partnerships, decision-making, 5 out of 5 for all schools. Backed up by our survey, also showing, this is from the parent, that this is from the student perspective, that the school works with their parent to help them do their best in school. And then their advising teacher and classroom teachers taking time to discuss their progress. Feeling welcome and connected in their school community. And from the parents' perspective of feeling welcome, valued, connected in their school community. And then how well the school communicates about various events and procedures. So again, really high scores there. And then from the parents' perspective, that they feel that their children are safe on our campuses. And then from the students, that they feel safe when they're on our campuses. And do they feel, so we also broke it down like physically safe, but also are they feeling emotionally safe with staff and other students? Then looking at, again, the facilities, the student response, that most of them think that we have a clean and school in good condition. And then the parents' response, buildings, classrooms, support a positive, focused environment. Again, that's majority think we are doing excellent. And then this is looking at participation in our on-site enrichment classes and reading their experience based on that. So this one's a little bit different because there is a NA category that's the or reddish coral color there on the end, and then the excellent is the teal.
So the NA represents what, Grace?
So they are not attending
They don't take classes.
classes, yeah, enrichment classes. And then for, and then we also have our graded classes on the right side. So different between our enrichment classes and then our graded classes as well. So then looking at how well students feel ready to meet the A to G course requirements, if they think that they're on track for that. And then did we provide the knowledge and support that they need for their college and career planning? And then this is going back to the student's perspective, that they feel that their advising teacher takes the time to discuss their grades and progress. And in summary, would you recommend our school to your friends and family? Most people say yes. So I think that's a good snapshot of overall what our community is thinking about our school. That was a lot in a very short time. Any questions that I can answer?
All looks pretty positive.
All right.
And then, Jody, I don't know if you had anything to add about the budget overview for parents that we haven't covered in the last budget.
It's a good summary of what you've already seen on the budgets for this year and for next.
Okay.
So.
In that case, we'll go ahead and move on to our action items. The first one is to approve the local control accountability plan and budget overview for parents for Mountain Home. Is there a motion to approve this action?
Cody Gates, I motion to.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, let's move on to a roll call.
Jason,
Aye.
Ian,
Aye.
Cody,
Aye.
Lisa, Mary.
Just giving us a thumbs up. Aye, the motion's gonna pass. Number 17, and this is the same LCAP and budget overview for Glacier Climb. So a motion to approve these items.
Jason Smith, I'll motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Lisa Paskowski, second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, let's move to a roll call vote.
Jason,
Aye.
Ian,
Aye.
Cody,
Aye.
Lisa, Mary.
Okay, and then number 18, same thing, but for Endeavor Charter Schools. So I'll now entertain a motion to approve the local control accountability plan and budget overview for parents.
Lisa Paskowski, motion to approve.
Any second?
Jason Smith, I'll second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, let's move to a roll call vote.
Jason,
Aye.
Ian,
Aye.
Cody,
Aye.
Lisa, Mary.
All right, we got the thumbs up, so that motion is also going to carry. Okay, so now very similar action items 19, 20, and 21 are the EPA resolutions for 2025 and 2026 for Mountain Home School, Glacier High School, and Endeavor Charter School respectively. And this is Jody. Do you have any information for us?
Sure. And I won't put them up on the screen. You have them in your packet. Proposition 30 was added to the Constitution, the California Constitution in 2012, that basically required that the funding for the education protection account be used in a certain way and be audited in a certain way that are all laid out in these resolutions. And so what we do before June 30th of each year, we are to project the next year's EPA amount. And that comes through the LCFF calculator that the state provides, and that's already on the budgets. And so each one of these resolutions has that amount noted there, and they are used in the proper specified way, these funds, and they are also audited in the proper way. The auditors are required to follow this as well. And so what we're doing here is just for each one of the schools, specifying that those amounts are to be handled in those particular ways. And so if you confirm that with each of the budgets, which I already have, they are correct and proper.
All right. And then because these are resolutions that we will pass these around to sign,
Yes, we can do that.
and then Mary can sign it at her convenience.
Sure.
We'll leave that for her to sign as well.
Yes.
So we'll go ahead and vote, and then we'll pass those around.
Wonderful.
Okay, so number 19, well, I should actually ask, does anyone have any questions for Jody before we move on? Doesn't appear anybody does, so number 19, this is the EPA resolution for 2025-2026 for Mountain Home School. I'll now entertain a motion to pass that resolution.
Jody makes that motion too.
Can I hear a second?
Jason Smith, I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's have a roll call vote.
Jason,
Aye.
Ian,
Aye.
Cody,
Aye.
Lisa, Mary.
Okay, I heard the aye that time, so motion passes. Number 20, this is the EPA resolution for 2025-2026 for Glacier High School. I'll now entertain a motion to pass that resolution.
Lisa Patzkowski, motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Jason Smith. I'll second. Here.
The Jason Smith.
Oh, Jason Smith, I'll second that.
Just so we have a clear record. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, let's move to a roll call vote.
Jason,
Aye.
Ian,
Aye.
Cody, Lisa, Mary.
That's the motion carries. Number 20, I think.
Yeah, so
20,
21
yeah,
now,
20.
one more.
Okay, so this is the, number 20 is the EPA resolution for 2025-2026 for Endeavor Charter School. I'll now entertain a motion to pass this resolution.
Lisa Patzkowski, motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Jody makes that second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's move to a roll call vote.
Jason, Ian,
Aye.
Cody,
Aye.
Lisa, Mary.
I didn't hear it, but I see the thumbs up, so that's going to be aye from Mary. That motion is going to pass. Okay, we move on to number 22, and this is the instructional continuity plans for all 3 educational sites.
Correct, yes, thank you. So this is a new item that'll become annualized in our board work. So this comes from Senate Bill 153 of last year, 2024. And the instructional continuity plan that bill requires local education agencies to adopt a plan to ensure all students can access instruction during a natural disaster or emergency. And the instructional continuity plan must be included in the LEA's comprehensive school safety plan. So this is yet another one of those things that we've seen result out of the COVID and the shutdown, and students all of a sudden being shut out of their regular schools, and probably the majority of schools scrambling to figure out what to do now. And so the state's, this bill, this law, this new requirement now requires schools to have a forward plan on should a shutdown of the building occur, what are you going to do? How are you going to respond? How are you going to get a hold of those students? What's the educational delivery? How are you going to keep track of them? How are you going to know their health and welfare? It answers those sorts of questions. Now, again, for us, it's sort of, it's, it's an exercise that we do, because in our model of school, we turned it over and we were on board within a week after the shutdown, because we're already an independent study model and we're able to do that. So, but we still have to do the plan. So I have 3 plans that are in front of you, one for each school. I think there's no direction on how we have to vote on these, so I just put them on the agenda as one vote for all 3 plans. I think that should be sufficient. And our plans answer sufficiently most of the questions here. There's a few open items that we weren't able to quite answer or figure out the time frame to get this done, and we can revisit this in the future. But I think it's an 85% or as far as what its completion now. And upon your approval, then we will include this into our school safety.
Are there any significant differences between 3 plans?
Actually, no. Yeah, other than there's certain places where you're addressing the local district and then it's their information. But yeah, otherwise, the schools and their operations are similar enough that the plans are the same.
Okay. Anybody have any questions about any of the plans? Appear to be, so I'll now entertain a motion to approve the continuity plans for Mountain Home School, Glacier High School, and Endeavor Charter School.
Lisa Paskowski, motion to approve.
Do we hear a second?
Jason Smith, I'll second.
Okay, let's, any discussion? Hearing none, let's move to a roll call vote.
Jason,
Aye.
Ian,
Aye.
Cody,
Aye.
Lisa, Mary.
Yeah.
Okay, I see the thumbs up from there. So that motion will carry. And now we'll go on to number 23. This is approval of hiring new staff, Mr. Cox. Both of you we got coming up.
Yeah, so pretty exciting. I think we have some really outstanding people coming on board. And staff here, if I go soft on the details, I'm gonna try to run through this pretty quickly, then maybe you can help me out. So first of all, Catherine Burton is going to be hired as a teacher here at Endeavor Charter School. And she's been with us before. She's outstanding. We're really excited to have her here. And we're not hiring particularly a special ed credentialed person, but we're getting one with her. So she's just a really neat gal and knows the program. We'll hire her. And she is replacing who, Nancy?
Andrea King.
So, and Mrs. King is moving out of state, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so she's moving on and Catherine's replacing her. And then another neat hire here, Alexander Shkaruba for Endeavor Charter School, full-time teacher. He is a longtime parent here. Do you know the Shkarubas? Cool family, super sweet people, fun, and they know the program, love the program. He is a teacher already. I believe he has a history credential. He is replacing a teacher from here, Nancy Turner, who is coming up to Glacier. So Nancy lives in Portugal, sort of between the 2 schools. She's wanted to be up in our location. So we now have the opportunity to bring her up to Glacier, which leaves a hole here at Endeavor. And we're hiring Alexander Shkaruba to come and take that place. So he's going to be a great addition. Let's see, Teresa Leonard is being brought on as full-time person doing a variety of tutoring and classes here. And she is a reading specialist. And can you just quickly name a thing or two you're going to have her do here, Nancy?
She's going to be teaching our 6th grade math classes, 3rd grade enrichment, and working on our reading intervention and math intervention.
Mm-hmm. So she's going to become, I think, a really great, strong academic support personnel here. So really glad to have her here. Melissa Solario coming on as Endeavor Spanish. And Nancy, can you share with us how you see using Melissa?
Yes, we're going to change our Spanish format on site, so it'll be a little bit more traditional with textbook and still online components to it. And so she's helping develop that program for our high school.
Very good. And so Rebecca Brokaw for Glacier High School. So Kayleen Friesen has retired, well, by the end of this month will be retired, Glacier High School teacher, so she will be definitely missed. And then another one of the Glacier teachers was not able to complete her contract due to health issues this year, and so is not able to go forward. And so Rebecca is coming on as a high school teacher for us. She is she's probably mid-career as a teacher and super highly respected and loved in our mountain area. She's been a 25-year teacher at Yosemite High School. Super strong. She teaches Spanish there, and we will undoubtedly tap into her for her Spanish instruction, but she'll also be an advising teacher working with us too. So probably any of the folks from up the hill know who Rebecca is. And then Evan Samuelson is a Glacier High School teacher. Evan has worked with us this year part-time in doing high school English classes, a number of high school English classes. And he is a newer teacher. He still has work on his credential. He has a credential, but there's more work you have to do to get your final clear. And so we'll be working with him on that. And what we found with Evan is the kids love him. He's really effective, kind of fun teacher, communicator. And it's really neat when you can look at a person for a whole year and you're not necessarily kind of checking them out, seeing how this is going to go. We had that opportunity with Evan. And so we're really glad to bring him on full time, and he'll be an advising teacher and English instruction at Endeavor, or at Glacier, sorry. And then finally, Nicole Patskowski is a teacher we're bringing on for Mountain Homeschool. This is an increase in enrollment at Mountain Homeschool, and so an additional teacher there, and she is newer to the area and super highly recommended, great references, great interview, and just so happens to have the same last name as Lisa here. So what's the connection, Lisa?
She's my sister-in-law, so she's
Sister-in-law.
married to my husband's brother.
Gotcha, yeah. So at any rate, super excited to have Nicole also come join us as a Mountain Homeschool teacher. So those are the teachers we're bringing on. If there's any questions or anything, please let me know.
Don't appear to be. So we can go ahead and move on to approve the hiring of new staff.
I think she.
Okay, and we're just going to move to approving the new staff that we just heard about. Excited to have with us.
Yes.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve the hire.
Jason Smith, I'll move to approve.
Do you hear a second?
Second motion.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's move to roll call vote.
Jason?
Aye.
Ian?
Aye.
Cody?
Aye.
Lisa? Aye. Mary? Aye.
I heard you that time.
Wonderful.
All right, that's gonna, we'll be done with the action items for the most part now, and hopefully the audio issues as well. So we'll move on to our reports. Mr. Cox, you've got a number for us.
I have a few things to cover. So first of all, the very last little lonely page in your packet is the proposed dates. This board meets on a calendar that is agreeable to you as the board. I only put these out as a starting point. What you have in front of you would reflect next year's dates that are around the dates we had this year. So that would mean Tuesdays. One thing that's different is that we were starting meetings at 3:15, and speaking with Nancy, there's going to be a class that would not make 3:15 doable, so we would need to move. If we do it on Tuesdays, we need to move the meeting to 3:30, just so you know. And so if you have any thoughts, date's okay there? Okay for Cody, Cody's good.
Should be okay for me.
Should be okay. Good for you, Lisa, wonderful.
And we can make adjustments.
Yeah, absolutely,
in the future.
totally. But this, at least we can put these down. If we need to change them, we can. It's good for me. Looks good for you.
It sounds like this will be a good starting point.
Okay. How about you, Mary?
Good for me.
Wonderful. Okay, excellent. One other consideration, too, and I had noticed that as well, Eric, is that we have to, this meeting has to meet in the county where we have the most students. So for the last number of years, that's been here in Fresno County. But if you looked at Jody's projections, our enrollment projections, we're gonna need to be watching. Those are projections at this point, but if we meet, you know, if Mountain Home and Glacier end up having a greater enrollment than Endeavor, the meetings would then need to take place in Oakhurst, just so you know. So we'll see, we'll just keep an eye on that, and I don't even know how we're supposed to monitor it. I don't like meeting to meeting, now it's Endeavor, I don't know, we'll have to look at that, but.
I don't think there's any clarity on that. At this point, we're using projections.
We're just using projections. I think we, at this point, can plan on the meeting here, but that's just out there.
And then I don't know if it matters that some of our families are from Mariposa County, so it's actually Madera County might be still less than Fresno.
No, that's a good point.
I just had that thought.
Right, so, yeah, good to know. Thank you. So, there's no action on this, but it sounds like this is generally good. We can put those down on our calendar.
Mr. Slows looks like he has a question.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Slows.
I was gonna say the one challenge will be like for me, I have enrichment classes on Tuesday till 3 o'clock, but I mean I could be late to the meeting. But anyway, that's just if we do it at 2:30.
Oh no, I'm sorry, John. 3:30.
Oh, 3:30.
Yes,
okay.
3:30. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah,
okay.
Glad you raised that. Yes, 3:30. I think you should be okay with that, yes?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Great. AB 84, SB 414 update. So Jody touched on this a little bit. Both of those bills passed their respective houses. And so now the Assembly Bill 84 is in the Senate side going through the process. And the Senate Bill 414 is on the Assembly side going through the process, and we will see what comes out at the end. The Senate bill whizzed through. It passed, had a lot of support, it's had no negative pushback, has strong support from the charter community. AB 84 has been battered, beaten, bruised, and called bad names. And so it's kind of toxic at this point. Both of those bills were written with the express purpose of correcting and adding to regulation on non-classroom-based charters because of certain non-classroom-based charter networks in the past who've behaved fraudulently. Okay, so that's the proposed purpose of the bills, you may recall. AB 84 is over 100 pages of. They just threw everything in this bill. It's got so many provisions, threw so much in this bill of anything that anybody that doesn't like charter schools, they get what they want with AB 84, which is why it's had so much pushback. It has passed the Assembly, but it had to get rid of the 30% cut to non-classroom based, off the top cut for non-classroom based. It had to get rid of increasing the authorizer fees to 3%, and then there was still amendments that were being promised. The author, Marisucci, is really trying to keep his bill alive, and so he's even still promising other changes that would come. Meanwhile, let me just say, we still do not like AB 84. It still has gobs and gobs of charter negativity in it. I'll just quickly name a few. It has increased restrictions on funding determination, something called mitigating circumstances. So if you're doing you submit your funding determination, and some reason you don't make exactly the 2 cutoff numbers, but it's because of a building project, or it's because of funding, one-time funding that came late, or it could be any number of things, you can then say in mitigating circumstances, this is why we didn't make that cutoff number, and that obviously makes sense, and you're okay. They're getting rid of most reasons for mitigating circumstances. It restricts district authorizers. The districts will have to have a larger ADA enrollment in their district than the charter that's in their district. So this doesn't affect any of our schools. We're fine here, but there's a lot of very fine charters in rural places where the district may have 2,000 students, and the charter has 3,000 students. Charters don't have attendance boundaries of that little local area. They have a broad, and so many other, and so there's a lot of really good charter schools out there right now that they're in that scenario, and it would not be allowed to, they couldn't be continued authorized there. So that's another, trying to stop those charter schools. It continues to require a credential for all teachers in a charter school for every course if they want course credit. So for us, that would include things like art, music, ROV. We have an art teacher currently at both places that have art credentials, but we, in times past, not to be able to teach art, get an artist. And saying we have a music teacher here who doesn't have a credential, and that's not, we get course credit for that. Our ROV program in Oakhurst doesn't have a credential teacher. And so we think it's just overreach and silly to require everybody that's all that's going on in school to have a credential. And here's probably for us personally is the biggest bad thing. It would bind public contract code on charter schools, which means that would include having to pay prevailing wage for any kind of building project. And bad news, because prevailing wage adds a third to a half more to the cost of any building project. The reason that that's so patently unfair is that we're already not receiving about 30% of the funding that would, compared to other district schools, that's for capital projects and development and building things. We don't get that money. And then to say that we have to do prevailing wage is just too much. And a bunch of massive increased audit requirements. So we still, anyway, that's my thoughts on AB 84. So we hope that it, dies a death. That SB 14 makes it through. Is there any questions on that?
Sounds like we'll just have to kind of see what happens.
Wait to see what happens. Yes, thank you. Number 3, Oakhurst building projects. So as Jody mentioned, we're probably about halfway done with our restrooms up there, which is really great. And by school opening in August, they will be complete, and that'll be super, really neat. Meanwhile, we are continuing to work with the architects. We should have the completed full set of plans from the architects any time now in the next week or so, for the additional project, which is 2,800 square feet built onto the backside of the building. Give us 5 offices, a large conference room, and a classroom. And so, continuing to pursue that, we took what they call 60%er plans the architects gave us, so they're done and they're sufficient enough you can make a quote on it, and gave it to a contractor, and he's put it out to all of his subs to just give us a rough estimate quote of what it will cost for completion. And so based upon what we get back from that estimate, we'll determine whether the feasibility of actually going through with the project and completing. And so we're hopeful that it's something that we can afford to do. That's what we're looking toward, but that's sort of where we are. Once we get the plans back and it's a go, then I don't know when we would say construction will start it, but that's out there. I'll jump to number 5, endeavor. Well, no, I guess I see why I put 4 there. So we are upping 2 additional staff in Oakhurst, and for Glacier and for Mountain Home, and we don't have any office space for them. And so in order to create the office space, there are a few of us who are going to now move off-site so that our offices can be used for the teachers coming in. And it sounds terrible to say the least necessary people move off-site, but it's the least necessary to the daily maintenance of the school program in the building. And so that would be myself, Jody, and Holly, CDO, HR, and executive director. So we plan this to be a temporary move, but we'll be starting the year where we're off-site, and hopefully by mid-year, we would be looking to bring like perhaps a temporary trailer, office trailer in and locate that on site where we can have offices there. The way we're looking is like a teacher will get Jody's office, a teacher will get Holly's office, and then my office would be reshuffled and reconfigured to be a workspace office for the three of us whenever we're on site. Any questions about that? It's unprecedented for us, it's weird. And the reason, and how we got started on this, just so you know, is that we had a looming 30% cut with AB 84. And so we were looking at this scenario where they're going to cut our funding by 30%. And so the only answer to that is we have to then increase revenue. Even though you're only getting 70 cents on the dollar, we had to increase revenue to fund the program by bringing more students in. Well, and so that's how we began to look, okay, where can we squeeze people in order to try to up our enrollment, and the demands out there. We actually have waiting lists for all the schools. So hopefully, again, this is a temporary arrangement. For Endeavor Building Search, we are pursuing, we're still in talks with Westminster Church and with Fresno County Building Department. Nick Yavino, who is our consultant on navigating through the building department. We will be presenting a plan in the next week to them. We have to draw up the application in this plan to give to them, and we'll be describing what we're proposing to do with Westminster Church. And so hopefully all that goes well, but that seems to continue to be a good, it's positive, it's moving forward well. And when we add an additional address to one of our schools, so in this case, Endeavor getting an additional address at Westminster Church, that in statute requires what's called a material revision to our charter. We have to include that address, but anymore, it's not just including the address in the charter, it's basically going through and reauthorizing your charter. And so any legal updates, it was 2019, our charter was approved, so there's new legal changes that have to be, we have to, freshen up any of the areas of program change that may be different. So really looking at our, and also include obviously how are we doing our program at this location and at the new location. So all of that has to be edited into a refreshed charter petition. And so we are beginning to work on that even now in order to present that to Fresno Unified sometime between fall and winter. And then finally, number 7, Jody and I will be attending for the first time. We've done this at the National Charter School Conference, happens every year, and we've not attended that before, and we think it's about time that we see what's going on outside California. We keep up with all the California stuff, and so he and I will be attending at the end of this month the National Charter School Conference. That's it for me.
All right, thank you. Any questions about any of the items that we just heard about? There's not. So let's go ahead and move on to the oversight report. Mr. Hagan, Mr. Slopes.
All right, I will share our joint presentation here. Hold on a second.
Okay, can you hear me okay there?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we, the last month of school was very busy with field trips, and we had a lot of trips, of course, and then graduation promotion. One of the trips we did is Mountain Homeschool had a day up at Calvin Crest, and that was on Thursday, May 22nd, and we had over 100 people go. I taught a trail, Mr. DeCarly taught a trail. I did Giant Sequoia, Mr. DeCarly did Miwok. And then so we had morning trails, teaching time, and then we had sack lunches. And then after that, we had free time. So they got they did climbing wall, boats, archery, or they could just roam the grounds with their parent. And so this is our 3rd year of doing this. And so they get a little taste of what camp is like. And it's been a great success, and the parents and kids really enjoy it. And there you can see a picture of the climbing wall at Calvin Crest, and then the kids on a large giant sequoia, part of a log that was cut down. And then the other thing, well, Endeavor and Mountain Homeschool and Glacier went to the Island Water Park. I got to go to that trip. And so we take over, these two large areas with picnic tables. And so we get to meet each other, and it's a group activity. And we had perfect weather. So and we were talking about that because next year we won't get to do this in June because we'll be done in May. So so this was our last Island Water Park trip in June, and that was a lot of fun. I wanted to share this with you. Mrs. Johnson, Miss Sandy, as the kids call her, teaches math. And so she knew Izzy Rich, who's a freshman at Glacier, was an artist. And so at the beginning of the year, she asked her, would you paint something for me? Something that has to do with math. So Izzy painted this for her, and it has all the math that so Izzy's been has had Miss Sandy since a 7th grader. And so Izzy painted all the math that she taught her. And then Mrs. Johnson had it framed. And so it's above her desk, and she doesn't quite have an office. It's more of a cubicle, but so it sits right above her desk. And we put this in our newsletter. So we did an end of the newsletter. So if you want to read about it or see more pictures of the activities that we did, you can go to the website and see that. But I've been meaning to put this in our newsletter all year. And so I put it at the end of the year newsletter, and it was just, and as you can tell, she's a really talented artist, and it really came out well.
It's striking. It's really beautiful.
And I think she has never painted like this before. Like, I think she's an artist, but I don't know if she had done anything remotely like this. I think it was her first project, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then the last thing I'd like to say, just like from a teacher's perspective, the last few weeks, what we're doing is we're getting all of our files ready and putting them in the boxes and putting our name and doing our final internal audits. And then, once you put every student's portfolio in the box and you close the box, it is, you've been doing this all year. And it's such a big part of our job is maintaining those files and making sure they're ready for the auditors, and, crossing all your T's and dotting all your I's. And so that, it's a really, I'm not a big fan of paperwork, but it is a sense of accomplishment. So, I'd rather spend the day with 1st graders and 2nd graders in classroom, but it is a part of our job. But it is, so when we get that done, so if you go into Mountain Homeschool right now, you'll see these big, all these boxes with everybody's name on it. And so it is a sense of accomplishment. So, and then Mr. Hagan is gonna share with the rest of the slideshow.
I also just want to say, like, the teachers, in addition to doing all that, they're making sure all of our kids are getting both state testing and our local indicating testing, and trying to hit,
all of that.
Trying to get all those students in and working with families, making sure, because we have to hit those percentages, and also trying to make it a good experience for our students so it's low stress. I just appreciate all that, all the work for both campuses on
Yes, total gratitude. Yep.
Yeah. We had our grad night at Universal Studios. This is the first time, and actually Nancy Garcia and myself, we had to go check it out, because it's our first time there. And I thought it was, it was very strange because it was the first one of their season, and there was only 2,000 high school students there, and they said normally it gets up to like 12,000 or 20,000 high school students, and so we it was empty. It was, you can just walk on anything, but I thought was really cool. I also got to accompany our Mountain Homeschool. We took the Amtrak train down to Sacramento, went to the Old Town area, Old Town area, went to the train station, also went to the Capitol, got to meet one of our assemblymen, Tongapat, Assemblyman Tongapat, and he met us in the rotunda and met with students and talked about his history. He's the very first elected official that actually graduated high school from a charter school. And so he's actually a very strong charter proponent. And he spoke very eloquently against AB 84 at the assembly. So that was, it's great to make these connections. He's also visited, I think, at Denver Charter School.
The staff has been up in Oakhurst, and he personally has been here. Yep.
So our students, we hadn't done a Sacramento trip in a lot of years, since my girls were probably in 4th or 5th grade, and so it was great to, revisit that. We had our promotion ceremony for 8th grade. Campbell Slose and Micah Mellon performed. You can see in the upper left a song together, a duet. It was awesome. And it was a great event. In addition, we had a Glacier Scholarship and Awards day. We had like a Glacier Day, yearbook signing, testing day, all that. And we had a number of local representatives and organizations support our students, and it was great event for that. And then we also had our Glacier graduation, which we did do some additional awards during that. That's our top grade point, or what did they call it? Valedictorian giving a speech that basically put all of our speeches to shame. She did outstanding. And then we had, for the first time, we had a theater class with Mr. Mallard, who's been teaching at Endeavor. But we had, for a variety of reasons, we did a video productions, basically 4 small video productions. And the staff kind of pulled together to try to make it really special. So they had a red carpet, the kids came in, the staff were like, "Oh my gosh, I need your autograph," and they were taking pictures of them and interviewing them. And it was like popcorn, and it was just a really fun event. And so I sent out within our thing, if you're interested, I can send you the links of our 4 projects. My favorite, I think, was probably the Alice Adventures in Wonderland. I thought they did a great job, but all of them were great. So that was kind of a first time thing, just a kind of an experiment. And there's just some of the events that have been happening recently, just kind of in summary, for our program. Mr. Slose, is there anything to add?
No, I think that's good.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Slose, for representing the staff of Oakhurst.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you both. Then we'll move on to our president's side report. And to your
All right. So some of the stuff you're going to see will look familiar. Oh, it's on my screen. There it goes. Just lagging. So we, at the end of the year, our last staff meeting of the year, we put together a slideshow with inspirational music and kind of gave a recap to the staff of a bunch of fun moments, but also some accomplishments for the year. So yeah, this is a recap of our recap. Slide. Oh, there we go. Okay. Slow. So as you recall, we had our first launch day this year. Super proud of that event. High participation in families, especially compared to our other back to school events that we've had in the past. And yeah, an incredible turnout. Usually, we have a fair number of our elementary families, but very few high schoolers and their families come, and we had really high percentage rates this year. And it was a super fun event. Our families said, "Yay, kids do it again." This year, our PLC topics covered a huge range of things. We reviewed our SSP, our student support plan process, updated the supports that go with that. We had best practice in the classroom and organizational strategies from teachers. We looked at NWA and CASP data in various groupings. We looked at the breakdown of the academic guidance and what that looks like and all the various things that Mr. Hill does. We looked at our grading and progress report process as well. We talked about our 7th and 8th grade rigor and new grading requirements. We had conversations regarding testing scheduling, more on that later, and decisions about the beginning of the year schedule. And we used what we've done in the past for WASC and LCAP of prioritization and put it into our leadership roles for duties for teachers and kind of started conversations reevaluating those. In our high school curriculum PDs, we explored remedial options. They're harder to find hard copies of. We implemented a new economics curriculum. We made a decision to not use No Red Ink, which was a program that came across, but it's not good for our program. We looked at the exceptional student suite and piloted that with a couple students this year. That's part of the, oh my gosh, totally fell on my Edgenuity, Imagine Learning suite. We had special presentations from various on-site teachers explaining their class structures and how to better support students in their classes. And we also had a PD for Mr. D math, which will be piloted by some of our students next year. Our TK through 8th curriculum, a big focus was on the science curriculum this year. And so Brooke actually gave some hands-on experiences to the teachers to jump right in and figure out some of the labs that are in the curriculum. They had, in general, lots of teacher discussion and feedback on various curriculums, and also had teacher expert presentations on various curriculums. So we looked in the past at our SSP data, our student support plans. So students are put on a support plan based on either like low test scores on NWA testing or behavioral issues that are identified by teachers. And so for high school, an interesting thing that drove some of our PLCs this year is that a bunch of the teachers said, hey, I don't think this student should actually be on an SSP. They have really low test scores. I think there's something else going on. And so we had a discussion with the students, a discussion with the teachers, and really it was coming down to thinking that our kids were experiencing like basically testing fatigue. And so out of that, we restructured for, so those teachers then individually test all of their students, and sure enough, they all tested in like the average range or higher. So affirmed that yes, there was some form of testing fatigue going on there with our high schoolers. And so for our spring testing this year, we broke it up a lot more. So our high school students came in every day of a week, our juniors, to do the state testing, and then just broke it up a lot more so they wouldn't experience that fatigue a little bit at a time. And we'll see how that comes out in the test results. For our TK through 8th, it looked like our original data was more reliable. And so the top right is showing you our mid-year updates. So student improvements in ELA and math, or in both, and then some areas where neither one improved. And so those ones that where they're not showing improvement, then we completed what we call an SST, a student study team, and looked at supports, further supports to offer those students. And so then if you look at the bottom right, that's showing you then at the end of the year based on test scores, teacher observations, kind of the same data. And then on the bottom left shows you the outcome of all of our SSPs from this year. So some of them moved on to 504, some of them moved on to an IPP, and some of them continued with their SSP because there's an improvement, just maybe not as much as we were hoping for. And then that big green slice at the bottom, they made enough improvement to be exited from their SSP. So cool stuff going on there with extra teacher supports. So some of our, we had a focus on staff, building staff community this year. And so you may remember some of these things at the beginning of the year. We kicked off with a STEAM challenge, egg drop, where they created, staff created devising teams to launch off of Nancy's balcony and see if their eggs survived. We then did an art, get to know each other through art, where teachers painted about another teacher and then presented it. Around Christmas, we had the reindeer games, where there were various events that staff competed in. And then one of our fun end of the year moments after we did our celebration slideshow is we had a staff Kahoot, and staff submitted something that they knew that was not well known about other staff members. And I think probably this was the one event of the year that evoked the most laughter. It was a pretty good time. And our staff knows each other pretty well.
Oh. Let's go too fast. Okay, so moving along with our celebration of 24-25, these are some stats that the SPED department provided. We ended up with 59 students on IEPs, and I just want to commend our special education team for completing 162 total IEPs this school year. So, and those are other stats related to SPED department. And a shout out to Nancy Turner for our EL department. She will continue to be our Western Sierra Charter School EL coordinator. We had 4 students that we served at Endeavor. And for other populations, shout out to Grace, Grace Reed, because she manages our 5 students, and we got 38, as well as 1 foster and 1 student. A few other highlights of the year are in the area of safety and supervision. We ended up fulfilling our monthly fire drills and other drills like sheltering in place and some earthquake awareness. We improved our fire maps, and also all of our WSCS staff was able to get CPR certified at the beginning of the school year as well. So, and our AEDs were replaced. So we had a lot of accomplishments in that area as well. Of course, you guys have seen our very popular parking lot crew. Okay. They helped us. WSCS is done, 6-year accreditation, so we're celebrating that. We also highlighted some of our guests on campus. Assemblyman Tangapot was visited Endeavor. We also had a guest speaker and author, Novella Dean, who visited our 3rd graders. And Supervisor Maxick also visited our campus and was our keynote speaker at graduation. Some of our high school sports highlights, well, we joined a league, the Specialty Schools League, so we were able to offer more sport for high school. And those are some of our stats of how many students participated in each sport. So you can see this was a positive impact for many students, and we're able to offer so many opportunities in sports. We had 31 graduates this year. One of them graduated as a sophomore. We also had 19 students in the fall take at least 1 college class, and 22 in the spring take at least 1 or more college classes. 17 seniors graduated as A-G completers, and we offered 2 campus tours, Fresno State and Columbia College this year. So thank you, Greg, for that. And speaking of Greg, he also held 34 counseling connection workshops. And so those are all the ones he did this year. They're also posted on our website as recordings. We had 8 field trips for elementary, 9 music and memory visits. That's community service that a team of students visits Grove Senior Living Center. We had 3 community food bag visits, 3 hikes, and one of the pictures I just wanted to show that Violin on Fire, which is he's one of our parents in our school. He volunteered also to perform in front of our Grove Senior Living Center event. But so shout out to Sandra Hammond, who organizes our elementary field trips. This is a thank you to Delisa because she organizes all of our fundraisers for ASB, and we raised over $2,700 and partnered with a variety of local businesses. We also celebrated that in our theater arts department. We had 2 productions, and over 40 students participated in each of those productions. Here we have a few pictures of our enrichment classes. We celebrated all the variety of activities and things that our students are able to do while they're here. One of my favorite memories is the TK and kinder classes did a multicultural unit, and parents visited the classroom and gave lessons on their culture. And we ended the unit, I say we because I actually did participate in the food festival where parents brought different foods from their country, and it was a lot of fun. Also to see the parents volunteer and teach on their on a country. And then we had math counts, thanks to Nancy Flynn and Christine Chai, and one of our students ended up competing at the state level this year. So in that ROV, we had our beginner scout group called Metal Sharks 3.0, and they placed 5th out of 20 teams this year in the regional competition. I wanted to also give a shout out to our Sunshine Club this year. They do bring the sprinkles to our celebrations, and there are basically volunteer staff members who cheer us up when someone has something going on in their lives, or they organize celebrations of like National Play-Doh Day or Popcorn Day, and so they are definitely amazing. And then we have more stats for you. The Control Alt Achievers, our tech department, completed 620 help desk tickets and purchased over 200 devices and onboarded 13 new employees. And so there's just a lot that happened in this department. I just want to say thank you to these 3 for their leadership in this area. Those are all a brief list of accomplishments for that. And then celebrating staff accomplishments, we had Susie Shell, who earned her master's degree this year. Grace and Nancy, us 2 right here, we cleared our admin credentials, and then Delisa Coots cleared her CTE credential this year. We ended the school year with a long day at Fresno State. We started, June 6th was the day for us. At 10 a.m. we had celebrated 14 kindergarten graduates. At 1 o'clock, we celebrated 32 8th graders that promoted. And then at 4 o'clock, we had 29 graduates at our high school graduation ceremony. It was a wonderful day, well attended, and I just want to thank all the staff and parents and students for making this a great day. And we just ended our staff presentation with a thank you to everyone. And, you know, we accomplished a lot this year, very proud of Endeavor and our staff, and looking forward to next year. That's it.
Thank you all. Here's to another great year, and looking forward to a great year into year next year. This is our last board meeting of this school year. We're going to meet again in September, probably the 16th at 3:30, but stay tuned. I guess we'll hear from Mike.
Yep, I'll reach out to you, I'll be in, contact with you and then reaching out, but if you could calendar the 16th, that would be great.
Okay, and so thank you all for your time. Let's have a motion to adjourn.
Jason Smith, aye. Second.
Okay, and so we are adjourned.
Your turn.
It is 4:45.
Thank you, and did we get the resolution?
Yeah, we need signatures on the resolutions. I'll get them out if you could